Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, as that will help grow my channel. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd appreciate that as well. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave those and I will respond. Again, thank you. This week we're going to do another project with the laser engraver. I'm actually going to engrave a photograph on some glass. I'm going to walk you through the process and how I prepare it, and then we're going to go to the laser engraver, do some engraving, and we're going to build a shadow box for it all to go in. I do have a question for those that have been watching my video on my channel on a regular basis. I thank you for that. Normally I dedicate this channel to wood turnings, and I'm still doing wood turnings, and the majority are going to be that. But every once in a while I may put in a video engraving video. So please leave a comment. Let me know what you think about that. Whether that should be in a separate channel and I leave this channel solely dedicated to wood turning, or whether you like every once in a while breaking it up and having something a little bit different. So please leave a comment on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this glass. I want to make a square. So I see that this is 8 inches. So I'm going to make a mark at 8 inches. And I'm going to cut the glass so that I have pretty close to a square. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this board on here, because I'll use that to run my engraver again. So I'll put that at just a little over 8 inches because of the glass cutter. Just check that to make sure it's square. That may have moved a little bit, but it's not critical that it's 8 inches exactly. I just wanted, when people look at it, to view it as a square and not as a rectangle. I think that's pretty close there. Now I'm just going to take my glass cutter and run down this. I apologize, I may be in the lens. There. I think I've got a good scratch on it there now. So we'll go ahead and snap this off. Now, this is, just so you know, this is a plate glass. It's not tempered. So there we have our glass cut, and now we'll go to the next step in processing it. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you how I process a photo in order to be able to engrave it on glass. So the first thing I do is, I know I have a photo. It's an image of my daughter and her husband at their wedding, and I want to remove the background. So the first thing I do is I go to a program called BG Remover. It's free software, my favorite kind, and it does a good job. I have no complaints with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a photo. So we'll go ahead and do that. And it's right here. And what you'll see the original at first, and then you immediately see what it looks like with the background removed. And this is the photo that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. The next thing I do is go to another software called ImagR. Now this happens to be another free software. You can also get a paid version of it, but I've never had a need for any of the paid features. So it's pretty intuitive how it works, but what it's going to allow me to do, it's going to allow me to edit a photo, crop it, sharpen it, and prepare it according to the materials that I'm engraving on. So the first thing I want to do is I want to upload that image that we just looked at, and that's the one with the background removed. And I believe that is this one. So it's gone ahead now and uploaded that into the software. So here it is here. The next thing I want to do is just make sure that I don't have any extra white space on this photo that I don't need. So I'm going to come in and crop it. And you can see here I've got a fair bit on the top. So I'm just going to drag that down to clean that up a little bit. I'm happy with where the bottom is and happy with where the sides are. So I'm going to go ahead and crop that. Now the next thing that I want to do, now that the cropping has been done, is I want to select the material that I'm engraving on. And this is why I'm using ImagR. Most of everything I've done so far, I could have done in Lightburn. But ImagR does a good job at selecting the material here. You can select the algorithm that it applies to the picture and gets it ready to be laser engraved. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm doing it on glass, which I am. Now we'll take a look at what it's done to the image. You'll notice here it shows the original image. It's reversed it. I don't need it reversed. And if I wanted to put it back, I could go into the settings and change that. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other as far as whether it's reversed or not. In some cases, if you're dealing with text or something like that, it may. The reason it reverses it, it assumes you're on, because I've said I'm on glass, it assumes you're engraving on the back side when in actual fact I'm engraving on the top. And we'll talk about that in a bit. The other thing I'll point out is when you do this, you'll notice that what was white in the original is black or dark in the image that it's going to save. The reason for that is we're etching glass. So I want my white, light colors to be etched. The dark colors that are black, I don't want those etched. So they're actually going to see through. I'm going to put it on a background so they'll become black again. But you'll notice that even in the blacks, none of the blacks are solid. It's generated some etching on here just so that we can see where that is. Otherwise, if that just left that, then there'd be no difference between this black in the suit and the rest of the glass, which is see-through. So it's etched around the outline of it and some in the center, just so that we can see that contrast. His hair is a good example. If you see here, it's actually etched around his hair. Normally it's etching white in the lighter colors. That's not a light color, but it's basically created a border so that this dark will stand out in the finished product. The other thing I can do, there are other adjustments. Typically, I don't find that I need to do that. I am going to take a look at gamma adjustment and see if it's originally set at 1. I'm going to bump that up just a little bit, and I don't need much. I'm going to see what that does for us. You can see here that it's basically given me a little more etching in my black areas, which has created a little more detail. I have a little more detail in the hair now than I had before, so I'm going to go with that. And I'm now going to download that image. I'm going to download it as a PNG. We can close this ad. We don't need that. So there we go. It's now been downloaded. So now I'm going to switch back to Lightburn, and I'm going to bring in that image into Lightburn. And I had done that earlier. I was just playing around with it. So I'm going to get a new one now. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to import that image. There you go. Now, the only other thing that I need to do, and I'm just going to move my camera over a little bit so we can get to this, I need to set my speed and my power. For this image, I'm going to set this, I need to move this over a bit more, sorry. I'm going to set this at 1200, and I'm going to leave the power at 70. The other thing that I have to make sure of is that the pass-through is turned on. So you see that here. So what that says is do not resample the image internally. Interval will be directly tied to the size of the image. So if you remember, I edited the image in ImagR. It applied settings for glass, and I adjusted the gamma ratios. If I were to turn this pass-through off, then Lightburn would apply these settings here. And basically what would happen is I would have two sets of settings. They would apply it on top of the settings that I just did in ImagR. So if you think about this, one of the things that both of this software do is they set the dither. And if I have a dither set, and that's really how the dots are treated, if I have a dither set in ImagR, I bring it into Lightburn, and I do not have pass-through turned on, then it's going to apply a second set of dithering and basically have double dithering. So you need to make sure that the pass-through is turned on. And now I'm ready. This image is ready to be sent to my laser engraver, and we'll go ahead and set that up now, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what that looks like. I have two samples here. The first one was done in Lightburn with the pass-through off, meaning that Lightburn also applied its settings to it. Remember earlier on I discussed the double dither. The second one is in Lightburn with the pass-through on, meaning that it's just the settings from the ImagR program. If you look closely, again going back to the first one, and look at the dots, I like the pattern actually a bit better than the second one, which seems a little bit heavy-handed to me. So surprisingly, I prefer the image done in Lightburn than I do from ImagR. Keeping in mind, even though I say I would prefer the one that was done in Lightburn, I still needed to use ImagR just to get the initial glass treatment. The next thing I did off camera was I built a shadow box for the glass to be mounted in, which holds the glass about 1 inch from the black background, which in turn creates that shadow effect. Leave a comment, let me know what you think of this project. I will be doing more of these, and I will make them available for sale for other people to capture any special events in their life.